Hey guys, welcome to my speed build. Today I'm building a house that I decided to name, I think I decided to call it Grey House in the end, which is not going to be a big surprise if you look at the color scheme we ended up with. I guess that could be seen as a little bit of a spoiler, but basically this house is going to have a pretty big master bedroom along with room for what I made into a toddler bedroom for two children, along with um, I think it ended up being a teenage girl room in the end, but you can change those into anything you want, basically, which is the beauty of Sims, I guess. The creativity of it. If I don't remember exactly what's going on, it's because I made this build 3 months ago and then edited it and completely forgot about it, basically. It's been sitting on my computer at home for so long, and basically I've moved since the last time I had any time for doing videos or doing anything productive or I guess non-productive. I don't think a lot of people would qualify Sims as a productive use of time. But I started uni and I basically moved, I think, about 200 kilometers away from home. So my computer had to stay um, long distance from me for a pretty long time. But I finally have it back and I've started finishing some of the projects that I've begun before moving. I think I finally are at a point where I know how to, I guess, schedule my time to be able to do anything creative in any ways besides uni and besides studying English, basically, which is what I've started doing, and it's really cool. I'm actually so far into the semester now that we're pretty close to the exams, and that's sort of scary. Um, but I'm just gonna forget about that for the next 10-ish minutes and talk to you about the build because procrastination. Woohoo! So basically, I made this house, and I guess I'm still trying to figure out some of the floor plan elements at that point because I wasn't really happy with the stairs. I cut a lot of it out, but basically the placement of the stairs in this house has been so annoying to deal with because I guess the stair in the open area, which is going to be the common room area, has basically been moved countless times and not really finding a place where it works. So I don't know. At this point, it's my I think third time furnishing it, and I've moved the kitchen around. I've moved the seating areas. I've basically done anything to try to make this pretty large space work for the amount of furniture that we needed. Yeah. So I don't know. It's always interesting to me when you have a really big room and there is still no space for anything at all because of the layout. But I guess you could have changed it, but I kind of saw it as a challenge. I don't know, I don't think I get out of my comfort zone enough when I build, especially the last few months because I've been working on such a large scale of family. I think I have 10 different households with Sims in them at this point, at the seventh generation or something. At some point, you just kind of lose the creative edge. Like, oh, I want to build a castle because it takes a long time, and all of a sudden, the people who are in it have to move, or you need to expand next room, or something. I don't know. I just think it becomes a little overwhelming with a large family sometimes to keep creative. So I've basically been focusing on, those, I guess, more typical builds. Yeah, and that's where the kitchen ends up going. It's been everywhere else as well, but that worked the best. Um, yeah, I don't know. I actually kind of like um, I kind of like not having to do really extraordinary fancy homes as much. Um, Actually, since making this, I've begun, I guess, having a bit of a creative itch again when it comes to the homes that my Sims live in, basically because I got a little bored, I guess, with the typical home and started to think outside the box again. So it's pretty interesting the amount of different types of homes that all of a sudden can end up in the same world. Um, yeah, so I guess there's nothing really interesting to say here. I'm building a living room, and this is my third attempt at making everything fit, and I think that's the best layout in general for the whole thing. And I ended up making a study nook here because it ended up being a 5-person house for me. So basically, the way the Sims work, you kind of have to have a lot of computers for at least a lot of the different careers that you can have. So I made sure that there was room for studying and using the computer and um, trying to make the actual gameplay as easy as possible. Because I think sometimes it's really easy to get caught up in the creative element and completely disregard the fact that you have to play in the house afterwards. At least that's one of the issues I've had a few times where I've made something I thought looked great, but basically didn't work in practice. Praxis. Um, uh, it didn't work when you actually had to play with it, but it looked cool. Basically, is what I'm trying to say here. I'm completely blanking on the words I need. So anyway, I just moved out of the common area and into the master bedroom. Again, a fairly, I don't know, I thought the room was weird because there were so many windows. I guess that's a good thing because natural light is great, but I think there's like 6 windows in here, which is slight overkill, but looks great from the outside. So again, it's a big room with basically no space for furniture, at least. I don't know, I think it looks great, and I think the, not necessarily great, but it looks like, you know, a house. No, I don't want to toot my own horn or anything. But it's just, I don't know, it's so weird that I made a pretty big house and yet still find it difficult to find space for the things that I need. Well, okay, anyways, we're on to the toddler bedroom now. Yeah, and this is basically the beginnings of that. I think since I had twins, I was like, oh, let's make a co-bedroom because that's exactly what I did the other time as well. So I guess if you watched the other video and then watched this one, it would seem pretty similar in that aspect because the two families that I decided to make the houses for both had twins. Twin toddlers, anyways. They've since grown up to both have their own children and everything because, you know, it has been 3 months since I made this house. No, I actually just think I got them to be teens yesterday. So, I don't know, it doesn't look like this anymore. I had to redecorate when the when the children decided to grow up. I'm sorry if my voice is having some issues, but I just basically got a little bit sick a few days ago, and it still hasn't lifted completely, but I can use my voice, which is great. And I've basically been sitting in my house for 24 hours without talking to anyone, so it's okay right now, but I might, you know, I might regret doing this voiceover afterwards. Especially considering that this voiceover probably wasn't that great, and I'll have no way to change it. Because changing it would mean it would have to sit on my computer for the next 6 months while I gather myself together to make the voiceover. I don't know if you guys would prefer videos with some great music or something that could be done too. I guess I think from what I can understand about YouTube, it's mostly, at least the way that I use it, I like hearing the thoughts behind the build or something random to kind of accompany me while I watch, because I guess I can see what's going on the screen. Like, I think most of us can agree that we can all see what's going on, and I don't know, sometimes it's just nice to think about something else or to talk about anything at all. Um, but again, if you guys would prefer music or something, especially regarding my probably pretty strong Danish accent, then that can be done too, completely. Or you could, turn the volume down, put on your own music. You don't have copyright issues. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna need feedback on that one, I guess. But it's actually pretty. I don't know. It took me 3 months to do the voiceover for different reasons, but I think the primary one is that I'm scared to speak English to potentially people who know how to say everything. And even though I study it, I guess I don't use it in the capacity where you have to be really conscious about the way you talk. And I feel like with YouTube, you definitely have to pay attention to what you're saying and how you're pronouncing things. And I don't know, I'm not used to thinking like that, so it's slightly, it's not scary, but it's I don't know, difficult. But here are the screenshots, and I'm gonna leave you here. I hope you enjoyed the build, and I might see you for the next one, maybe. Bye!